Welcome to the No Limiter Podcast, where we interview top business owners, entrepreneurs, and creators in every industry to help you set record-breaking months. Here's your host of the No Limiter Podcast, Regina Eileen Woodard.
Hello, welcome to the No Limiter Podcast. I am your host, Regina Eileen Woodard, the Queen of Carlone, the host of the No Limiter Podcast. Today I have Angelina Watkins. She is the transformation queen, transformation coach, CEO that helps high achieving women get into position to win, love, life, and money. What does that mean? That means, well, you know what? She's going to explain that today. First of all, thank you. Welcome to my platform. Thank you very much.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
I'm glad you're here. So today, I want to talk about, I want us to share with the audience, control, healing. I've been following you because we're in the David Snan's podcast mastermind, but you've been talking on your pages about control. And so when I think about control, let me just give you a little snippet. When I think about control, I think about Janet Jackson control. So I'm just going to give you a little snippet. When I was 17, I did what people told me, did what my father said, and let my mother mold me. But then long ago, I'm in control, never going to stop. Control, get what I want. Control, I have a lot. Control, and now I'm all grown up. Okay, so now that
listen to them singing skills. Okay, you more than the Queen of Carlones. Like, we gonna put you on somebody's stage somewhere.
Okay, I'll get booed off in about 2 seconds. Okay, but you see,
they're like, keep going, don't give up.
You see, I had to go through about 4 or 5 bars because I had to get my excitement up. So, because I noticed that I was watching one of your snippets, and you start playing music that was giving you happy for your podcast, right?
Right.
And so that's what I was doing. I was getting warmed up on the set in front of you.
I need someone appreciate it.
Yes. But you know what? I know that you are a transformation coach, and you help high achieving women, achieve the money, go through the pain. But let me just break it down real quick. You're giving all this advice, and you're all these quotes that you have that I have written down that I want to talk about. But let's talk about, how did you even get to want to be a coach, for one? And then what did you go through to become a coach? Because you can't give advice unless you've been through it.
True. I think some of the best advice comes from people who've been through it and they have the solution. Now, some people can give you the solution and not really been through something. And because I heard one time, I was watching an interview with a relationship coach, and they were talking about how, if you have a heart problem, does the doctor have to have had a heart problem to fix your heart? You have to ask yourself, sometimes, does someone have to have had your problem to help you fix the problem? So sometimes people have a solution only because they learned it from someone else. But I actually been through the process. I actually been through the solution that I give to people about transforming who they are, transforming their lives, and becoming a better them. And I've been through some things. I've been through some heartache. I've been through some financial ruin. I've been through the whole controlling thing.
Example, because you're talking about you've been through, right? But give me some examples. What is one of the financial things that you went through to be able to share with women? Because it seems like you're focusing on high achieving women, not men, but the women.
Yeah, let me tell you about the financial, but let me say this, because I hate using that word high achieving. And I'm really...
But that was from you. That was from you.
I'm thinking about taking it out of my videos, my marketing, like not saying that anymore, just because I don't want people to get confused when I say high achieving, because people always think when you say high achieving, you think money. Oh, you got to have money. High achieving means that you have money. No, you can be a high achiever mentally and not have the money to match it. You just need that person to come into your life and show you how to match your mental with the work that needs to be done in order to get that money. So you have a lot of people who are ambitious, a lot of people who want things, they dream about things, they want to go places and do stuff. They just don't know how. And so I don't want them to single themselves out and say, well, I'm not high achieving so that I can't get it, I can't be successful.
Because I don't have any money, right?
It's a mental thing. It's high achieving. But financially, because let's get to your question. My financial ruin was, at one point in time, I really wanted to be a real estate mogul. I thought that's what I was going to be. I was going to buy up all this real estate and I was going to make this passive income and be able to live my life the way I want to live my life. And I got into the real estate game right before the recession of 2008. And so during that recession, I was really struggling. I had these properties. I had acquired like 8 units. I had like, my properties were like 750 plus value. Like I was doing well for myself to be a beginner. But the recession hit. People were losing their jobs. I was actually working. I lost my job. Renters weren't paying. They were destroying the properties. And I just wasn't getting enough. And I didn't have enough put away and save up to be able to sustain it. So I was drowning, but I was paying it. But I was robbing Peter to pay Paul. Like I'm paying stuff because I was so worried about my credit score. But it wasn't sustainable. And I had my accountant call me one day, like, listen, I haven't heard from you. You ain't came to do your taxes. And I'm like, well, I'm struggling over here. I'm doing this, that, and the third. And he's like, no, you're going to have to plan an exit strategy. I'm like, an exit strategy? What do you mean?
Like, what is that? What's the exit strategy?
Right. Like, basically, you're going to have to give this up. And I'm like, how am I going to give this up? How am I going to let these properties go? How am I going to let this business go when I'm supposed to be a financial expert, a financial guru, helping people? Like, isn't that going to be hypocritical? Who's going to listen to me? And you couldn't even keep these properties. And I had to, in that moment from him, get a reality check. Like, first of all, what you're going through ain't got nothing to do with who you are. Let's separate that. And you may have done well for yourself, but honey, there's people who have more than you that are losing in this real estate market right now. So he had to bring my ego down. And from there, I had to let it go. I had to put together a strategy to get rid of these properties, file bankruptcy so no one would come back after me for any differences of selling them on what we call a short sale.
How did that make you feel, though? How did that make you feel? You giving people giving people advice, or consumers, people about finances, and you had to have your exit strategy. How did it make you feel personally?
Personally, I felt I was embarrassed. I felt really bad. Like I really was thinking like, this is not going to work and I'm not going to make it. But somewhere in there, I had a pop-up.
You had a pop-up, you said?
A papa.
A daddy? Your father. Wait a minute. Your father that birthed you, that helped make you. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, because, some women have, they might get their husband or their boyfriend, papa or daddy. Hey, daddy.
Gave me like papa.
Got it.
That, came along, gave me one of those fatherly talks about who I am and what I'm going through. And between him and my accountant, they really set me straight. But, I think if I didn't have them, I really, really struggled, because I really kept saying, I really didn't think that after I went through this, anybody would listen to me, not realizing that your pain is for the purpose of someone else.
Say it again. Your
pain is for the purpose of someone else.
Yes.
You have to go through the things that you go through.
Yes.
You said, did you go through it? You have to go through the things that you go through so that you can now tell someone else how to get out of it.
Yes.
I got into being a transformation coach, because after going through financial ruin, and I could still help you financially, but you got to get the mental together. No matter what happens, that's why I said you got to get in a position to win at love, life, and money. because you can't win at love, life, or money if your mind ain't right. The money will come and you'll lose it. And then what are you going to do? But if you have your mind, you can get it back. You ain't going to be worried about that. So I got in a position where I wasn't worried about that, because I still, even though losing everything, I still had my abilities, my knowledge, my talents. I still had who I was that could make that money again, And so I think that's what some people have to realize. And that's like kind of a transition I had to go through, and realizing that you still have more, you have even more to offer now to people other than how to buy real estate or, getting insurance and things of that nature. You have a mental and emotional value that you can bring to people's lives.
So you had a transformation yourself, because if you had to have your accountant tell you you need to plan an exit strategy, he hadn't heard from you. And then you had to reach out to daddy. That's about transformation. And that's a mind thing. Because, when you think that you on top of the world, and then, especially if you're a beginner, right? And then you're like, I got to make a decision, and I don't have that 6 months, or I don't have those 3 months to make that decision. So kudos to you, because for one, you had the right daddy, right? So you had two, and you had God. So you had three things.
And I had a financial planner. So I had
four. So you had God, financial planner, your accountant, and your dad, right? So you have four.
Lawyer. Let me put the lawyer in there.
Okay, well, get everybody in there. So you have 5 people or 4 people and God to help you make your exit strategy for what you did. And that's when I say you in order for some of the things that you teach, you have to either gone through them yourself, or somebody close to you, you watch them go through to learn from what they have gone through.
Right. The biggest thing I will say, though, in that whole lesson that has really come into my life right now is to be coachable.
Coachable.
To listen, to obey, because God wants us to obey him.
What's the difference? What's the difference between coachable and being obeying?
Being coachable, you're going to listen. When you obey, you're going to follow through.
Ooh.
Right?
You hitting it.
I can listen to you and take it in, but when you obey, you will execute whether you agree with it or not.
Yes.
So I have to be both, because you can coach me and then I'm not really accepting what you're saying, but I'm still following what you're saying. We want you to take in what they're saying and follow through on what they're saying. Because in the end, when you go through that transition of taking it in and applying, you come out a totally different person. You come out mentally stronger, emotionally stronger, spiritually stronger, more wise, more knowledgeable, when you can do both.
That makes totally sense. Totally sense. Looking back at one of your quotes, you said, you have to feel the pain to heal the pain. Otherwise, will you know when the pain is gone and around is healed? And then I have a slash, like control, when do you know that it's time to heal? Did you know after you let your properties go, did you know it was time for you to heal? Because in order to heal, when I look at it, let me just give my opinion, I'm gonna close my mouth, right? When you go through something, when you have the pain, in order to get out of that situation, you got to be able to heal. That's how I look at it. But I learned that late in life. So when I went through some pain, right? But in order for me to go to that next level and be okay with it, I got to heal. I have to deal with it. Because a lot of times I may find myself, I'll go through the pain, but I don't heal. So I have had to take that time to whatever it was to be able to heal in my mind.
But they have not healed. So you really have you really gone through the pain if you haven't healed? Because part of going through the pain is addressing the pain and resolving the pain and getting a different perspective, accepting a different reality so that whatever you went through doesn't look like what you went through. And when you come out of that, you aren't what you've been through. Nobody can look at you and tell that what you've been through, because when you tell them the story, they think like, wow, you went through all of that. People look at me like, wow, you went through all that. Yes, if you went through the pain, but you ain't healed, You didn't really go through the pain. What you did was you hid it, you avoided it, you swept it under the rug, you didn't address it.
But don't most people, you look on the outside and you think everything is good, right? But then inside they're hurting. They haven't healed, right?
Right.
Then when they go home, they're really, that's when they're meshing in their mess. How do you not do that?
How do you not mesh in your mess?
Yeah.
You have to change your mindset. You got to change your activity. You got to change what you're doing. Because one of the things that I learned on my journey of healing that a lot of people do that I was doing, it was an eye-opener to me, was someone said that you have to stop rehearsing the pain in your head. Many times we go through things and we keep rehearsing what happened to us. And I can't believe they did this. I can't believe they said this. I can't believe this happened. And then we keep playing it over and over and over again. And when we do that, we keep sending ourselves into a deeper depression, into a deeper rabbit hole that we just can't get ourselves out of. You have to do something different. You got to go do something positive. You got to get out of the house. You got to get around some positive people. You've got to enrich your mind. You got to be able to learn how to change your perspective of where you are. That's why I teach people to find the lesson learned. Because when you find the lesson in your mess, you will begin to see it differently. Your mind will begin to change. And that's the only way you're going to get out that mess, is to change your mind and change your perspective and just begin to heal those emotions.
So you said find your lesson in your mess?
Yes, there's a lesson in your mess. Just like I told you earlier, you don't go through your pain for yourself, right? There's a lesson in your mess. There was something you're supposed to learn so that you can do it better next time. There was something you're supposed to learn so that you can teach someone. There was something you were supposed to learn so you can motivate others. There was something you were supposed to get out of that to not only change your life, but to change other people's lives. And what we fail to do is we fail to learn the lesson. We wallow in the misery. We wallow in, oh, the woe is me, what happened to me, versus what am I supposed to get out of this? So when I was going through my things of what I was going through, because when I went through financial ruin, and losing a job all at the same time, filing bankruptcy, having to give up my house, give up my car, go from my house to a 2-bedroom apartment. I also was losing my relationship that I decided I didn't no longer want to be in because the person kept cheating on me. So I had a whole lot going on at that time. And I had to stop and say, okay, God, what am I supposed to get out of this? Like, we ask, why me? And I ain't gonna lie, I say, why me?
We all do that. We all do it.
They tell you not to, because, why not you? Now I have that question, why not me? But at that time, it's like, okay, God, why you got me going through this? What's the silver lining? What am I supposed to get out of it? Did I get an instant answer? No. But as I began to heal, I began to get answers about who I am. You're supposed to learn about who you are, because the things you go through is that they show you who you are and what you can do. And if you are a person who goes through things and you build resiliency, I began to build confidence in myself, realizing that even though I lost all of this, look what I did though. That was a lot of properties I bought. And I rehabbed them. I rented them out. I was running a business. I was getting some passive income. So regardless of the end result, girl, look what you did, right? And so I learned real estate. I learned how to buy right. I learned the ins and out. I know how to look for stuff. I know how to rehab. When you're going to come work on my house, I know how to talk the language. You're not going to just cheat me. I got cheated. What did I learn how to get cheated? Know your stuff. You just learn different things. I learned in the relationship that failed what not to do next time, my own self. Like, what did you do in that relationship that you brought to the relationship that you need to change? And then I was realizing what type of guy doesn't work for me, how to start identifying red flags that I ignored. So sometimes we got to stop throwing the pity parties and start asking ourselves, what am I supposed to learn from this so I can do it better next time?
One thing what I wanted to get out to everyone that's going to be watching the podcast for the snippets is that I feel personally, if you're a transformation coach, you have to have some type of transformation in your life. You just can't wake up and say, oh, I want to be a coach. Oh, I want to be a transformation coach. And you want to teach everybody else without going through, something. So going through, losing rental properties, losing their relationships knowing that, hey, I don't need a man that's cheating on me, but brings to this point is, how do you feel now about real estate?
About real estate, you know what? I walked away like, I don't think I ever want to do this again. And so my husband, he always say, you want to get into real estate? And I'm like, no, the only way I'll do it is if I have cash, because cash is king. That's one of the things I learned in real estate. There's ways around it. And, you'll have people out here who can help you buy real estate and invest in it and get these properties. But for me, and that's the transformation of knowing who I am, I know what works for me. And all of the stuff that they teach you may be great and it may work for them, but it don't work for me. I want cash. So if you hear me saying that I done bought up some real estate, you gonna already know, Regina.
You pay cash.
She paid cash.
That's funny. That's funny because, in the credit world, it's like credit is king. Cash is not king. Credit is king. And you saying in the real estate that cash is king. So I get it. I get it. What you went through. And
don't play on words. Don't play on words because you can still get credit. And those folks will give you the cash for you to go pay cash.
Right.
You're going to be an investor that actually buys properties that you flip. And so I'm not talking about the big stuff, the commercials and apartment buildings and all that kind of stuff. But if you wanted to get a 2, 3, or 4 family home or something like that, you wanted to rent out and it needs to be fixed up, because that's the best way to do it. If you're going to be an investor that does rentals, is to buy properties that are low, which means they're going to need some work. Well, I want to go in because I know when I didn't have the cash, I was still getting properties. But when I didn't have the cash and I had to use loans to get the property, investors with cash was outbidding me. They're off
because they had the money. They had the money right now.
They could do quick closes. They didn't have no clauses and different things like that. So who they're going to look at? They're going to go for that investor with the cash faster than someone who's got to wait on a loan and somebody to say yes. So that's one of the things I learned, as well as when you're having to fix up a property, you have to, no matter how much you feel like, oh, I could get this fixed up in 3 months, you're going to run into problems. You're going to run into scammers. You're going to run into guys who come and they start the work and they don't come back for days or weeks and stuff like that.
Oh, I know about that.
3 months turns into 5, 6 months, and now you're carrying all of this interest and stuff. Well, if you have cash to buy the property and fix up the property, I ain't got to worry about that, right? I don't have to be stressed out about that interest accruing and having to pay that monthly payment. And so that's me. If I do real estate, I want it to be less stressful. It was stressful for me. I don't want that stress.
Are you in the market for a new or used car? Whether you're in the Metro Detroit area or anywhere in the U.S., call or text me at 248-301-0461. And I go to work on getting you the best deal possible. That's right. We're delivered anywhere in the U.S. Call or text me at 248-301-0461. What motivates you?
What motivates me? Oh, wow. Work-wise or just personally?
Both. Because when I looked at your story and I looked at, I was reading about you and, I was doing my homework. I watched a bunch of your videos this morning. I watched at least 15 videos, back and forth. And I said, what motivates you? Because I got a chance to get to know you a little bit, when we spent those couple of days in Atlanta together. And I just watched, you and your husband, we went together to the boot camp both days. You had your babies, we went to the event, Social Proof podcast live event. And it just the love, with the family and just everything. It was like you guys have been together 30 years. You know what I'm saying? Like you and your husband been together for seriously 25, 30 years, because some people from the outside, as myself, right, we pay attention. And it's like you don't meet at this day and time couples that have that genuine love and that trust, and just they actually gel together. Trust me, I've seen a lot of marriages, never been married. So I'm not, not to say I'm the marriage expert just from the outside, but just the care that you all have for each other is that you don't find that every day. Again, I'm making comments, right? But what motivates you to be that great mother, right? That great wife, that great coach. And I know I'm giving you a lot. I said, great mother, great coach, great wife, and great person. And then be able to, accept new people. I got to go back to this where I remember in the chat when I said, was asking about, where to stay. And you came back first and you said, you gave me the place. Matter of fact, you gave me your number. I thought you gave me a number of the hotel. And then when I called you, it was you. I'm like, I thought it was going to say Holiday Inn Express, but it didn't. But what motivates you to do what you do?
I'm going to have to say God.
Okay.
Who I am, Amen. Who I am, right? I am who I am. It's in the genes. I come from some good genes, but I like to say I'm just a genuinely nice person. I don't like to see people hurt. I don't like to see people suffering. But when I really found God and my purpose, that's what motivates me. So I am who I am, but to be who I am every day, personally, professionally, it's because I realize who God created me to be. It all starts to make sense to me now as to why people were attracted to me, why people want to come to me with their problems. And I'm thinking like, why they want to come to me? I don't want to talk about their problems, this, and the third. Well, God created something inside of me to help people. Like he didn't give me a soft heart to not be able to give back and help people. If it bothers me that you're hurting and I got the solution, then I need to be giving you the solution. And so God created me this way. But when I began to really realize who I am, how he created me, and what my purpose in life was, then that's what gets me up every day. That's what keeps me going, knowing that I can give an impact and I can make somebody else's day better or different or improve just by what I do, whether it's a video, whether I'm interviewing on a podcast, whether I'm talking to you one-on-one as a client, whatever it may be. I get joy out of knowing that I made an impact in this world, that I was able to change somebody's life for the better. I was able to take their pain and turn it into happiness and peace and freedom because I feel that. And it's a great feeling. And I just want other people to feel that way. I want other people to know what it's like to wake up in the morning and control your life, to be able to make your own decisions, make the right decisions that's best for you based upon who you are, to just have peace, even when things aren't working out for you, to have that freedom. It's a good feeling. And to go from someone who had been controlled for the majority of her life to actually feeling that power of being confident in who God created me to be confident. I don't have to dummy down myself. I don't have to pigeonhole myself. I don't have to live in the box that other people created for me. Freedom is beautiful. Heck, we've been, as Blacks, fighting for freedom for centuries now, or decades or whatever. And just the little bit that we have, does it not feel good? Just think if you were free mentally and emotionally and spiritually to live your life the way you want to live your life, and there's nothing holding you back, like your podcast. No limit. I'm all about no limits. But
I like the way you said that.
You can't get that limitless life, that limitless business or anything if you don't get the mental and emotional and spiritual freedom that's required to have that limitless life.
When did you realize you had it? When did you realize that people wanted to sit on your couch or people wanted to talk about their problems? When did you realize that you notice when I ask a question, I have to say two things behind it. But, when did you realize that? When did you realize that you could help people solve their problems?
Oh, my, I realized it, but really coming into the know, it took some years. And it just kind of was one of those things where it gradually happened. And if I could just tell you, when I went through what I went through with the financial ruin and the relationship, and I was a single mom with a baby and all that kind of stuff. And I went through my transition and I began to heal and I went through the process. And the process that I went through, well, I had to figure out that process. No one in my life was telling me what to do to heal. They weren't telling me how to change my mind. They weren't telling me how to heal my heart. They wasn't telling me how to draw closer to God. Like I just didn't have anyone to help me put the pieces together. So I muddled my way through and it took some time, but I finally began to feel free. And
how long did it take you? How long did it take you? Did it take you months? Did it take you years?
Because I was putting in the work, so it took me about 7 months to start to feel. Like one day I'm just like, whoa, I don't feel the burden no more. But it still took some years. I mean, it still took a little bit longer because you got to continue to go through the process. What I will tell people out there is the mistake I made was I stopped, because we think we reached a point where, oh, I'm good, I'm whole, I'm healed, right? When you're not, you haven't fully addressed everything. And so now I tell people healing is a lifelong journey. And I stopped because I felt good and I wasn't continuing to do the things that I needed to do to continue to feel good. So once you start healing, you got to maintain it. But you asked me, when did I know? Mm-hmm. I was graduating from college because I went to college in my 30s. I was graduating from college and I heard God tell me to write a book. You got a process, give it to the people so they don't have to take as long as you did. Tell them what you did to heal. I had the idea, I wrote it down, I never did it. So it would take years before I finally realized, girl, you got a process. You got to give it, whether they want to hear you or not. But I realized when people wanted to hear me, it was after I had gotten married. I had been married for about 1.5 years or so. Things weren't going the greatest, trying to blend a family. You know, I love my husband, but bringing him and I with our children together into this household we didn't have no guidance. We were figuring.
But you had God. We had God,
but we didn't have that. We didn't have that guidance of how you blend a family, how you make things work, how you let go of your ideology. So that was part of my transformation of how you let go of the past. The things that you learn may not work for your household. And just because mama did it doesn't mean that you have to do it. You have to now say, this is who I am. This is who he is. Let's bring who we are together and make it work. But anyway, in the midst of this chaos, I want to work on me because I'm like, I need to be the change I want to see in everyone in this house and at work. And so I started a book club because I started reading this self-help book.
Do you still have the book club?
I don't. What happened was the pandemic hit.
Well, what happened was
I started reading this book and I'm like, oh, this is good. I'm gonna work on me, but I need an accountability partner. So I started a book club and I asked these 3 ladies to just go on this journey. We'll go on this journey together. We'll read this book and we'll support each other in our personal development. Well, in the midst of doing this book club, it turned into me being a coach. It was no longer a book club. It was me reading the book, facilitating the conversations, giving them homework, answering their questions. And so you asked me, well, when did I know? It kind of morphed into, wait a minute, hold up. This is changing. This is not what I set out to do. But I found myself helping. I found myself trying to help them heal. I found myself answering the questions. I found myself doing the things that I needed to do to get closer to God. I found myself doing the things I needed to do in order to come back and give back to them. And so that's when it began. I began to realize, like, wait a minute, he did tell me, you got a process that I want you to give to the people. And here I am now giving this process. And that's kind of where it all started to happen for me about 3 years ago.
So you do have a story. You do have a story. No, you do have a story because, I don't know if you you tell your situations when you tell your story. I mean, you know what I mean? When someone's interviewing you, do you get to the nuts and bolts, right? Because I honestly wanted to know, well, you didn't just wake up and say, oh, I'm going to be a transformational queen. Oh, I'm going to wake up and be a transformational coach. I'm going to take care of high achieving women. And I want to help them, in other words, you just don't wake up. You got to go through something to get where you are. Right. And you did. So my goal today, viewers, was achieved. We achieved the goal today. You helped me get my I, my A, was it the X, Y to the Z? Is that what it was? Right? No. Or was it?
Which one? I don't have so many little lines that I say. I give you the information for transformation so you can get information. And that's where that position is. I'm getting you in position to win. You got to get in position to win. And that means you got to transform your mind, you got to transform your emotions, and you got to build up your spiritual well-being as well.
Love it. Love it. What is one last thing that you want to share with our viewers?
If I could, I'll share with them what I like to always share on my podcast, which is where you are is not where you have to be. So many times we get stuck in where we are. We think that this is my story in. It is what it is. We take life as it comes to us, and we think we just got to take what life deals with us. And that's why I'm all about helping people gain control of their lives by, transforming their mind, healing their emotions, and building their spiritual. Because when you do that, you will realize that I don't have to stay where I am. Like I realized I ain't got to put up with no man cheating on me. I don't have to put up with that. I don't have to settle for not having anything just because I lost my real estate business. I did things to say, I'm not going to stay here. And people have to realize you don't have to stay where you are. Your circumstances, your past, they don't define you. You define you. Remember I said, when I came out of my mess, I still had my knowledge, my abilities, my talents. I still had me. I could do it again. People have to realize who they are and that you can get what you need or do what you want to do or go where you want to go. All you need is you and God. You don't have to stay where you are.
That's it. Only thing you need is you and God.
You and God. God will send what you need. I know people sometimes don't realize that, but he really will. I made a video not too long ago where I told them, like, all you got to do is start. When I went to go back to school, I didn't have no money. Again, I just lost my business and my job. And here I am deciding I'm going to go back to school. I ain't got no money to go back to school. But I went back to school anyway. I was determined, okay, I'm going to go get this degree. Well, I got a degree. By the time I graduated 3 years later, all I owed was $2,500. When you start something, God will then make provisions. You'll be amazed at how the people show up, the resources show up, and the money shows up so that you can be able to do what you need to do. But people don't understand that if you never get started, if you don't do something, even if it's the wrong thing, I've done the wrong thing, but then God will course correct it. Even on this journey of coaching, I wasn't really doing
course corrected.
He will course correct it. I didn't start out saying I'm going to be a coach, but he kept giving me what I needed and then course corrected me and reminded me that this is what I wanted you to do. Right. And every time you kind of go off course, it's okay. People need to know it's okay. You're supposed to learn something from it. Again, what was I supposed to learn from this? And then take it and then keep applying it to where you're going. And so you got to know that he's going to bring the people, bring the money. He's going to bring the resources. Just do it.
Well, you heard it right here on the No Limiter podcast. Angelina Watkins said, just do it. Just do it. Just do it. Well, I appreciate you joining me on the podcast, and thank you for being a part of my
pleasure. This was fun.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the No Limiter Podcast with Regina Eileen Woodard. Remember to subscribe and review the No Limiter Podcast wherever you listen to your favorite podcast and the No Limiter Podcast YouTube channel. Every listen and review helps to get this podcast out to as many no limiters like you as possible.